segment, which is going to be called Hold My Guns. And just a little bit about that, just to kind of introduce the topic. Now, the course that I took was again, it's called the QPR Gatekeeper. And the whole concept is training people. There was so much information. Training people to identify and to help intervene and to help provide guidance and support to people who are at risk for suicide. It was a training course that taught us
different scenarios.
It wasn't so much scenarios. We learned in depth. You know, if you look online, you do some research, you watch some things. You know, you can learn a lot. You can learn bits and pieces of this or get things here and there. But it was a really inclusive, really informational, like heavy informational, great course. You know, the science, what to look for. There are a lot of things that people show that a lot of the world may not realize are signs that they may be contemplating suicide. What do you look for? The biggest thing that I took away was not, you know, so many of us are raised to be polite. We're raised to mind our business. We're raised to be respectful of people. And the one really big thing that was a personal takeaway for me, and I can't speak for anybody else, this was my takeaway, is it really empowered and taught that there are times where it's appropriate and it's okay to get in someone's business. And they had some really great tips and tools and ways to do it in a very loving, kind way to where you're supportive and you're not intrusive. And that was really big because it really opened my eyes to ways that you can do that, ways you can support and help somebody without pushing them away.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's a little bit of a talent. There's people out there that just have that knack.
Absolutely.
Of diffusing a situation or resolving a situation. I mean, even in business, you know, if you're the secretary and I'm asking for help and you can't give it to me, but if your boss comes out, he can give it to me. So it's that kind of a feeling when you do it that way. But
you know, there's some people you can just listen to them talk all day, and they can talk anybody off the
or
ledge. They can talk you into buying anything.
They'll either buy it and get out of my office.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
And so, you know, even for people that don't have those natural talents, sometimes we might be put in positions to where we may come across a situation and we need to step into that role, even if it's not a strength that we have. And so, you know, this course was wonderful, and it was put together in a way that it really empowers and gives you the tools if you don't already have them naturally. What do you say? What do you do? And there were some scenarios that we did talk about towards the end, but that wasn't the focus of it.
And this is for instructors.
No, not specific to instructors. However, being in the gun community, I think it is really a really imperative thing that we should be taking and being aware of. And it wasn't only gun specific. It was just suicide. It was all the methods. Yeah. However, guns are obviously a big concern. You know, within that mindset.
I was talking to a lady yesterday, day before, because I'm pitching. You know, not me, SD. Every time I see a woman, use the conversation, I bring it up. And she goes, "Oh, no, I'm scared to death of guns." And I says, "Are you scared to death of the noise or what they can do?" She goes, "Well, probably a little bit of both." I said, "Well,
That's
the
fair.
noise can be corrected and the use can be controlled. So there's no reason to be afraid."
Correct.
But I said, you better get some kind of protection just for your own safety. You know, it's just not a bad idea. And I used to, even pepper spray, you know, worst comes to, but you got to do something. So
we actually have a pepper spray class
I
coming
know.
up. Not
so
me.
I gave her my card,
good.
and I told her, I said, just send an email to San Diego County.
Yep. I'll be teaching that class.
Are you going to teach
April 13th? Yeah. Not me, San Diego.
I am not coming.
That's
you
okay.
will say, "Dave, come here. I need you for a minute," and I'll get squirted. And
Maybe.
You know, there's no way. I do not trust you any farther than I can throw this studio.
All right.
Because you'd like a target. Look at that grin on your face.
I've been on the other end of it, so I know. No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Hey, I was in the Army. I had that. What do you call that stuff? Gosh, I can't think.
Tear gas.
Tear gas.
There you go.
Boy, that's a ripper. Let me tell you.
So,
all right. So she's coming up next?
So I believe our guest is going to be, I know we had originally someone else who was ill. Do we have Sarah? Up in the next segment.
Next
We're
segment.
gonna have a representative, and the representative that we're gonna have. So the QPR Gatekeeper program that I mentioned is ties in with another program that they run called Hold My Guns. And just a really quick preview of that, our guest next segment is going to go really in depth to it. But the idea is that if you have someone in a situation to where they feel that they may be at risk of making a rash decision, or there's just a concern over that, and there is a way that they can temporarily surrender by choice their firearms until they get themselves out of that state. And it's a whole program, and it's a very great, wonderful, in-depth program. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next on the next segment.
Hey, a lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and your website looks great on your phone, but it's just not getting any customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you could fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customers to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. You can visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on that Schedule a Call button, and they will take care of you. All right, we have a special guest on the line, and I think you know this nice lady.
If it's who I think it is, I believe I do. Sarah, are you there?
I'm here. It's so great to be here tonight.
Thank you, Sarah. No, Sarah, I know that you won't remember me specifically, but I was one of many women that sat in on your class at the Girl and a Gun conference last year.
That is awesome. I really enjoyed that, and I'm so excited to be coming back again this year to teach that QPR suicide prevention class. And what's really cool is that there have been ladies who took that class and who have applied what they learned to help save lives. So I'm excited to be going back and teaching that again to the firearms community at A Girl and a Gun.
Wonderful. And I don't know if you heard the last segment, but one thing, I just want to take a second. I just want to thank you, because there was one thing that was really powerful for me. I will admit at the end, I think ours turned into like a little bit of a therapy session but with people sharing stories. But one thing that really empowered me and that really hit me that I did not expect is that you have a real talent and a gift in a special way that you were able to impart a whole concept to me that I didn't expect to walk away with. And that was the empowerment and the being okay with not being okay, and being okay with being uncomfortable, because this is not a pleasant thing to deal with. And there comes a time where it may be needed. And I really want to thank you, because you really kind of framed it in a way that made me understand that it's okay, and it's okay, and it's okay to step in, and there's a place and a time for that, and it needs to be done.
That really means a lot to me. And, humbly speaking, and I emphasize this all the time and in that class too, no one knows what tomorrow is going to bring. And, we don't know if we're going to get into a car accident, on the way to the grocery store, for example. And, moments like that in our lives can really change our mental health. Losing a loved one. Even this week, my son had an injury at work where they had to use a tourniquet. He works at a deli, and he took a good chunk out of his arm. And because of an employee that helped him, he was able to stop the bleed. But, we never know I didn't know what that day was going to bring. And when we start from that humble place, it empowers us to be able to speak humbly with other people without judgment, without stigma. And that's really what our mission is all about, is empowering and equipping our community to be able to help to provide a solution to other members of our community. So I'm so glad you got to experience that class and that we can be talking about it today. It's awesome.
Wonderful. And, and so the course that I took was the QPR, but what I wanted to kind of take a little bit of time to talk with you about now is something that's closely affiliated with that. And that's the whole Hold My Guns part of your program. And would you be able to kind of talk a little bit about that and share how that works and, just kind of the background of it and the founding?
Absolutely. So first, I want to let people know, if you would like to find our website, it's holdmyguns.org. And the way that Hold My Guns started, I'm a range safety officer. and I have 5 kids that have a long history of being in shooting sports. But what we learned was that gun owners don't always have friends or family to store firearms during times of need or crisis. And this realization happened when we lost an 18-year-old friend to suicide by firearm. And my kids came to me and they asked, how can we help people who need to have their firearms out of their home temporarily by their choice for whatever reason, at the same time while helping to preserve rights. And that's where the idea for Hold My Guns came from.
That's wonderful.
So is that like, how much? I'm sure you don't hold guns for everybody at your house. So do you have pardon?
That's right. We're not holding them at the Albrecht house.
So you have like a storage building?
Well, the way that it works, it's a very scalable solution. And the cool thing is it incorporates our entire firearms community. There's an opportunity to get involved. And we partner with FFLs, or Federal Firearms Licensees, gun shops across the United States, and they store firearms for their clients that are referred to them through our website, through word of mouth. And it's a great way for FFLs to just show that they are taking leadership to help their firearms community. And really, it's a beautiful way that we can show that liberty is the answer and self-governance is the answer, but actually creating the infrastructure to help people who need firearm storage. So we have 6 partners right now, and we're excited to be growing that. Our partners right now, we have American Trailhead in Georgia, Gold Spur Outfitters in Wyoming, Branson Cerakote in Missouri, Casey Small Arms in Massachusetts, which is, by the way, part of the Yankee Hill Machine Complex, Allegheny Arms in Pittsburgh, and last but not least, Randall Family Firearms in Washington State. And Lisa was going to be on tonight. She's our FFL coordinator and Washington State partner owner, and their family is ill tonight. But we really appreciate Lisa. She's a wonderful person in our team and helps to bring new FFLs on board.
Now, I heard a little bit of a rumor that you're working on an FFL here in California. Is that true?
We have a few that have reached out. Right now, our barrier is that we need an attorney to help us with completing our contract. We have to have a state compliant contract. So if there are attorneys out there that are very 2A and they know about firearms law and they understand how contracts work, the contract is about 80% filled in, and then we have to fill it in that last 20% with the process for a compliant transfer. So if there's an attorney out there that wants to help, if we get that contract, it really helps us to be able to onboard FFLs quickly. So
and it's got to be perfect. It's got to be lawyer perfect.
Especially California.
And especially in California, and you probably only have one shot at it.
You do, and the reason why is because of gun control. And
we live here.
Right? Unfortunately, there are a lot of state and even local laws in some situations, and we really want to protect our FFL partners from creating liability from doing something wrong. And so that's why it's important to have that in place. That being said, I want to be clear that we store firearms. There are transfers involved for that. We have to follow all federal, state, and local laws. But we can also store non-serialized critical parts, which is great for privately manufactured firearms, if that's the situation, or even accessories like perhaps a key to a cable lock or a safe. So there are ways that we can help store objects that help to create distance from firearms and within that realm there.
What does the police departments or the sheriff's departments say about this? Because I know they're not thrilled about having to store weapons that are confiscated. Wouldn't it be easier just, to give them to you with the customer's name on it? They have all the information. No? Alicia's shaking her head no at me.
Well, there's an interesting situation there. So if police departments are required to store someone's firearms, it's probably because they're prohibited. And unfortunately, we can't do a transfer for someone who's prohibited. So storing a firearm for a prohibited person wouldn't quite work under our program. However, a lot of people want to take their firearms for the reasons why we store firearms, which would be because someone's in crises or they're maybe being deployed or they're showing their house or helping a foster kid that, they can't be around firearms while they're in the home. So, but they call the police department and the sheriff's department, and they're already storing so many firearms for prohibited individuals.
Yes.
They don't have the space.
See, that was my point. That was my point.
Yeah.
You could just clear up, keep the ones that you have to keep for court and what have you. But, like, say I arrested Alicia as a cop, and then we just take her guns away. We'd back up the 40-foot tractor trailer and load all of her guns in there, and then just take them away until she got straight and then come back. So, yeah, but I think you're offering a great service. The community needs to know about it.
So, Sarah, you touched a little bit on some of the life situations that come up as to why someone might reach out to your program. Can you kind of go in a little bit more detail about that? Because kind of the full spectrum of why this might be necessary and beneficial.
Yes. Well, I'd like to share a story
Absolutely.
Of someone that we were able to help. And keep in mind, we do not ask why people store firearms. So, for all we know, maybe they are going on vacation and they want to responsibly prevent unauthorized access. But we did hear back from someone who stored a firearm through our program, and it just makes my heart feel so good even thinking about it. So she's a mother, and during the pandemic, she had in-home care for her special needs children, and they needed a lot of assistance with things like eating and getting dressed every day. But during the pandemic, the in-home nurse wasn't able to make house calls anymore, and so the mom was shouldering a lot of the care for her kids, and she just became exhausted without help. And she started drinking to cope with that stress of being overwhelmed and feeling guilt over loving her kids, but not being able to meet all of their needs with, that extra hand. And she started thinking about suicide as a way out. And so she started going to the garage and, kind of quietly drinking when her kids were in bed. And that's where she kept her firearm. And so someone had told her about Hold My Guns. And what she told me later was that she was actually in the garage with her firearm when she called to ask, where can I store my firearm? So she stored her firearm with a storage partner, and she actually got help for her alcohol addiction. And she ultimately, in the end, chose to sell her firearm through that FSL. But as far as I know, she's still with us and recovering and has recovered from being addicted to alcohol. So it's a beautiful story that is, helping support a gun owner in need and helping them to make life-affirming choices with our community support without stigma. So we found out about that actually because she shared her story on a podcast. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is really exciting to learn what happened. But we also know that not everyone is going to share like that.
Right.
But that's just one example of many. We had, I'm aware of someone who called because it was a veteran who was being evicted from his apartment.
Oh, Sarah.
Hold on a second, Sarah.
Yeah.
We're gonna play drama here. We're gonna have you stay with us till another segment. So hold that thought, and when we come back, let's continue. Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 100 pounds bigger? Well, that's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. Just if you need to sign up, go to notmesd.org, notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County, Inland Empire. Get help today at notmesd.org. All right, we're back with Sarah.
All right, Sarah. Before Sarah gets going with her story, I just, if you think about it. So this Hold My Guns, because I think a lot of people might be thinking, well, why would I want to do this? Or if I'm in that state of mind, why am, a lot of people when they're in that state of mind, they're not thinking clearly. But when they come out of it the next day, if they don't, hopefully they don't take the step,
clearly.
They realize how poorly their thoughts were the night before. And in that rational moment, that's when I hope they make this phone call.
Okay, so I have to ask, Hold My Gun? First thing I thought, it was Hold My Beer. I thought this was going to be some kind of a, let me tell you what I did but I'm not. I just had to just bring that out. I feel much better. All right, Sarah, finish up, kind of back up a couple of paragraphs, and let's get this story out there.
Well, I held that thought. There was another scenario that was really cool that we were able to help a member of our gun community. So there was a veteran who was being evicted from their apartment, and they're able to. The concern was that they couldn't take their firearms into the temporary shelter, and so really their identity was in their firearms, and they didn't. It was like the one thing that mattered out of all of their possessions, and so by storing firearms for them, they were able to go to the shelter temporarily, but then pick up their firearms when they were getting back on their feet. And it meant so much to them. And so, again, people use our service for all different reasons. But I do like the point that you have there, and that is that, we carry firearms because they are lethal and they're quick and they quickly stop a threat. But when the threat is coming from within, and it may be the gun owner, it may be someone in the household, maybe someone who's struggling with postpartum depression, for example, who has access to the combination to the safe. Maybe there are teenagers who are going through a hard time. We don't know. It might not be the gun owner themselves, but it gives them an option to responsibly store their firearm off-site if that is what they need. And it's a way that we can support them. So, and by the way, Hold My Guns was a working name, and it was just kind of like, it should be something like this. But my friend John Patton at the Gun Collective just kind of blurted it out on the air one day, and I was like, John, we weren't ready to give it a name yet, but it stuck. And so it just is kind of endearing that it did stick. It wasn't like some fancy, armory type name, but Hold My Gun stuck. And so that's what we still have today.
Well, I got to say, when you hear that, it makes people wonder, what are we talking about? So it gets them to engage in the conversation. So it's a pretty catchy little name. You could do a T-shirt.
You could, and we do want to do some T-shirts and some merch soon. So look for that. Yeah.
Because people are, the non-shooters are going to say, "Oh my God, what is she talking about?"
Well, it's a conversation starter.
That's
the way you get the word out there. So,
the
Sarah, can you kind of walk us through? Imagine if I was to call up the hotline, or to call up, what does the process look like for someone on that end of it that needs this service? What are they going to need to do? Is there a charge to them? Kind of walk me through that process. What would I need to expect?
Yes. So the first thing to do is go to holdmyguns.org and click on the location tab, and you'll see a map of the current storage partners. And you would go to that map and click on the location closest to you and make an appointment with that FSL partner. And you would take your firearms to them, and you would fill out the contract, which, states I am the owner of this firearm. I'm lawfully able to possess this firearm. All the kinds of questions you would expect if you were taking a firearm to a gun shop for them to store.
And he'll have all the pertinent paperwork to fill out. You don't have to download any of it.
That's correct.
Okay.
So the FSL partners have it, and then all federal and state and local laws have to be followed. So at the time of pickup, for example, if there's a waiting period, you would make the appointment to pick up your firearm.
Mm-hmm.
You would make sure that all of your paperwork is there, and then you would be able to pick up your firearm after that waiting period. Not all states have that, but again, it's transferring a firearm, and so you have to be compliant with those laws. And of course, we do offer other parts and accessory storage too. So if that's a concern for someone who just needs to have distance from lethal means or not have readily access to it to be able to use it, that's an option for people too. But for someone who's being deployed, they might need to have that whole firearm stored.
Now, not pinning you down to an exact dollar amount, but what's kind of the average of storage fee, say, per month?
We leave it to our FSL partners.
Right. Okay.
And it's very important, again, to note that, people store firearms for many different reasons. So we can't say, well, it's free if you're in crisis, because then it asks that person for being in crisis. So it's about, on average, about $20 a month for the first firearm.
That's kind of what I was looking for, because, and then, of course, it's going to depend if you're bringing 1, 2, 3 rifles, pistols. Everything changes, but I was just thinking, say I wanted to store a gun just for a month, $20 a month, that's more than doable.
Yes. And we are actually working on creating a scholarship program that our FFL partners can tap into if they need it. And that way they don't turn people away if they can't afford that. If you go to holdmyguns.org, which is our social media handle, and you click on our link tree, there's a sponsor prospectus. And we have something out there. We're looking for someone to fill that hero level. It's a $100,000 donation, and we will name our scholarship fund after that donor. So if you really are passionate about this, or you know someone who is, we want to be able to provide this service to people in need, and we want to start that fund, but we want to honor that person at that very high level hero donor. So keep that in mind. There is a need for it, and we're trying to make that possible.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the luck on that.
Noble cause. Now, so Sarah, I imagine that you are looking to grow and to add as many FFLs in as many states as you can.
Yeah.
Is that true? Okay. So we have listeners from all over. We are located here in San Diego County, but we are podcasted. We have listeners all over. There you go. So I imagine there are likely to be a few gun shops that are listening. Can you kind of detail what you're looking for and what the process may be if someone's interested in helping and stepping up and being part of this? How do they go about that?
Just their end of it.
Yeah, their end. What do they need to do?
Absolutely. So we currently are working with, we have compliant contracts in our 6 states. So the easiest thing is if there are interested FFLs in those states, we already have a contract and it's pretty easy to get them on board. We require that they are a retail location and that they have a storefront. It's not just a gunsmith in someone's home. We require that they carry general liability insurance and that they have good customer service ratings because, again, people come in for all different kinds of reasons, and we want to make sure that they're going to be treating those customers with dignity and respect. So those are the key things that we look for storage partners. We are also looking for people to sponsor states that, like FFLs in states where we don't have an existing contract. So if you're in a state that's not currently supported by our contracts and you want to get involved, let us know. And again, if there are attorneys in states that say, hey, I want to come forward and help with this, it will empower other FFLs in other states to be able to get on board quickly.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I think it sounds like it should be in every state.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it just seems...
Absolutely. And in every
county.
city too, right?
Yeah, every county, right.
Well, I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but look at all the storage buildings are all over the place, with different size compartments. I don't know why you couldn't do that with firearms. Now, did I understand you correctly? Do you ship firearms or was that the other guy? Who was that?
Well, any FFL can ship to another FFL.
Okay, there you go. That's what I was thinking.
Right? If you have a local FFL, you can ship to one of our storage partners. But that being said, if there is a warehouse that's associated with an FFL, we'd be interested in working with you to make that shipping option more accessible.
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to hear another story.
You want to hear another story?
Another one?
Let me get the cookies and
I like
milk.
the stories. I know.
You want your cookies and milk first?
Light the fire.
All right. You're on. She wants another story.
Another story.
Yeah.
You got a million.
Well, if you don't mind, Sarah, actually, if I can make a request.
Oh,
Yes.
If it's not too personal. I know that when I took your course, you told me one personally about a friend of yours. If you don't mind.
It's about the new mom, perhaps.
It was a man. It was about a man.
Fill her in. She tells a lot of stories.
My memory. We have helped a lot of people, so help jog my memory.
Jog.
Oh, he had passed recently. I don't remember enough.
She
I
doesn't
don't remember
either.
enough. I knew that it was a man. He had passed just before you taught the course, and it was an emotional moment for you. It was new. It was fresh.
Well, while she's thinking about it and you're thinking about it, what's the general acceptance of your program across the storing of the guns?
It's very interesting because people who've been through a difficult situation, they understand it. It has been very well received.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand the hesitancy.
Sure.
Because people who are wisely skeptical about anything that talks about storing firearms or mental health being exploited, they should be asking questions like, who are you? And do you really represent liberty? And, what's your track record and things like that? So I really appreciate it when people ask those hard questions and make sure that, that we are who we say we are. And they're always pleasantly surprised. And it's very interesting because, sometimes those who give us the most opposition, they later call and say, by the way, this really made a difference. And I was able to share this with a friend. So I'm still not ringing a bell about a specific case.
I wish I could remember more. It was
That's right. I got another question. What about politicians? What do the politics think of what you're trying to do? Both sides.
It's kind of, first of all, we're a 501c3. And so we are very cautious not to endorse candidates or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, for candidates that are very gun control minded, it's very, very, very hard for them to argue with our liberty-based approach. Gotcha. And so it shuts them up. So if you're someone that may never store a firearm, but you want to shut other politicians, check out Hold My Gun.
Sarah, it has been so much fun having you on. We truly appreciate you sharing this program. I think it's a phenomenal program, and hopefully we'll get you in all 50 states in no time at all.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.